guys? Welcome back to Libertalia Game Supply. This week I'm just going to show you some updated deck profiles, some tweaks that I've made, whether it be because of the ban list or reprints that have come out or whatever. So I'll just show you a couple of those instead, show you the tweaks that I'm working on. I just didn't have time to test something new this week with school and everything. So hopefully this is good enough. There's some interesting changes, I guess. So last week, or not last week, but whenever the video was posted, I had a Dinomorphia Punk build. I just didn't like it as much as pure Dinomorphia. That was just because it was something different and interesting that I was playing around with. So this is kind of the build that I was looking at for just a pure deck. So a very similar core of 3 and 2. I think the other one had 3 and 1. This could probably go to 3 just because it could. You want the materials, but I don't think you want them that bad. 2 is plenty. It's just kind of fun. It just got that reprint in the Megatin, so it's pretty cheap. It's a pretty good card in the deck in terms of like protecting your back row, and it's a free body on board. The problem is once it's on board, it doesn't really do anything for you. Its level doesn't work for any of your Xyz. It cannot be synchroed up into the Psychic End Punisher unless you use the effect veilers that I got down here in the side. This isn't really a side, it's just kind of other stuff I was considering. But if I were going to put these in, I'd probably cut the imperms. The reason I didn't was for the trap tricks, but the Veiler's a level 1 tuner, so you could then use this in Veiler to get to your Psychic End Punisher, which might still happen, but just a thought I was having. And then the Triple Ash, because it's the level 3 tuner, it lets you get up into your Psychic End Punisher with the Rexsturm. It's just one of the best generic hand traps, as you all know. For the spells, slight difference here. Triple Duality, 1 card at Demise. I saw this in somebody else's deck profile. I totally forgot this card existed. In playtesting, it's pretty good. Odds are you're gonna set your hand, activate to draw 3. Whatever you have left, maybe you get a normal summon, maybe you get one extra back row. You kind of get your pick of the back row you're putting in there, and then you just play on from there. So it's really good at digging. So I like that card. Even if you end up discarding a couple cards, everything is played in multiples for the most part, and so it's just it's a nice tech. The traps stayed mostly, well, not mostly the same. It's a lot of the same traps in higher quantities, apart from this being added in there. I don't think I had this in there last time. So what I was kind of looking at was, so Trap Trick's just a nice like deck thinning searcher type of situation. So I wanted any normal trap in the deck to be playable in more than 1. So you got your 3 of your fusion traps, and then these I played at 2s because it makes them searchable. You don't necessarily need it at 2, but the searchability factor is kind of what I was playing into here, so I like that. And then the 1 Sonic, it's not searchable, but it's pretty good to have some Acro Destruction Negation, if that made sense. And then the Triple Ferret Flames, I like it at 3. It's just a blowout card. Once you get your life points down low enough, you just like wipe everything, plus it makes it searchable. Trap Trick having multiples, and having multiples usually isn't bad. Even if you get 1 or 2 in the back row, one turn you blow them out, the next turn they build a new board, you blow them out again. And then the double imperm, like I was talking about, I could cut that for Veiler to make this live with the our Psychic End Punisher. For now, it's a searchable trap off of Trap Trick. I don't know that you need it. It's a pretty good card, obviously. It is what it is. This thing is a beast in this deck. Obviously, we play 4 spells, so it's not really going to hinder us too much at all, and it just wins games. Obviously, if you're playing against another deck that doesn't play spells or doesn't rely on them, you would probably side this out for something else. But most decks use a spell as a starter or use a spell in some capacity, so this thing is just super good. I love it at 3. And then for our Solemn lineup here, I got 3 of the Judgment because it's always live, 2 of the Strike because it's not always live. It always costs you that 1500. I've come to play the deck without ever summoning this thing. It's just material at this point. So you're never getting that shut-off effect to eliminate the life point cost of things, which is fine. Like, you want it to be low. You just don't want to end up accidentally getting attacked over, but you can play around that. So 2's good. Extra deck is, I cut a lot of the Synchro Core, obviously, because we're not playing the Synchros anymore. Also, you can't play Crystron Halifibrax, so got rid of it entirely. 3s, and 2s. These are just your main boss monsters. You need them. This is material. You could use 3. I've never really needed the 3, because even if you needed extra deck material to send for the summon, you could send either of these also to make the other one or whatever. So yeah, this is fine. The 1 Psychic End because it's a big blowout card, and then some rank 4s. This is all just like grind game, like control, stall out, whatever type stuff. And then some like monsters that I will probably not ever use, but Dark Phoenix and Unicorn. They're just pretty good cards in most decks that can play them, so why not? So there's Dinomorphia. Alright, so deck number 2 is going to be Water Control. This deck saw almost no changes. The only thing that happened was I switched out the triple Extravagance to the triple Pot of Prosperity. It's just a better card. The only reason I didn't play it before is because I have the deck, like, physical deck. I wanted to build it and play it, practice it in a way that I could actually build it in real life, and there just was no justification for spending 300 plus bucks on a playset of this. But you know, 120 is a little bit more manageable, so I like the card. It's a really good card in this deck because you're pretty much just digging for either Yuumi or Leviathan, and this does that a little bit better than Extravagance. Nothing else changed because I just like the ratios of everything else for the most part. I could see some tweaks going on with like maybe this stuff, but otherwise I like the options that the deck has for control. It does what I want it to do. I assume that there is some work that could be done on this extra deck to make it more viable, but really I don't really even use it. So this one was quick and easy. Take a gander, you know, on to the next one, right? Alright, so deck number 3 is my favorite, Bujin. So I actually have two builds, or two like tweaks, two versions of the deck here for you. First one is going to be trying to replace the Hulk engine that would let us link climb up into Access Code Talker, with Hulk being able to pull the Effect Veiler out of the deck and then link up into Selene and then Selene Effect, and you know, so on and so on. I won't be playing this just because I don't think that this is nearly as efficient or as useful as Hulk Engine was. It is what it is. The only reason I got this up here right now is because I had somebody message me on Instagram about playing Lina in the deck as your spellcaster that could then link up into Selene and then to Access Code. I think it works technically, I just don't think it's very efficient. So the difference here is that, so you would summon this, you have your spellcaster on board. While it's on board, it doesn't do anything for you in terms of getting the extra bodies on board in order to link up. So what you would end up having to do is summon 2, link into this, and then special summon a third out of your hand. If you know how I play the deck, or you know that main combo to get to your F0, if you have those options in your hand to summon 2, link them away, and summon a third, that means you have the option to go full combo and end with F0 plus Amaterasu plus a graveyard full of Bujins. So like, this was always a plan B. It was just like an extra little something. It's a big body, it's got a cool effect, or a good effect. But if you got to start revolving the deck around this, it's just not as good anymore in my opinion. But I wanted to share this just because I thought it was interesting when it was brought to me, and so maybe somebody can think of something to do with this that I'm just not thinking of. And then this was kind of a similar idea. So you could get a bunch of bodies on board, you know, battle, whatever, main phase 2, link one of them away into the Clara and Rushka, which is a spellcaster, and then you would be able to climb up into the Selene. So maybe it would work. I have not tested it at all. I just don't think, I think that this build, this version, or this little engine just isn't efficient in this deck anymore, because the deck wasn't built for that anyway, and it only worked that way because of Hulk. And so that's kind of the only tweak there. And then our final deck, my baby here, this is the Bujin build that I am going with for now. I was hoping that we were going to get the third Tenki back. That would be super sweet, obviously. One of the best spell cards in the deck. We didn't. Maybe next time. Deck still works equally as efficiently as it did before. Tweaks here. I pulled out the Monster Reborn and played the Harpy's Feather Duster instead. The Monster Reborn's always just a win more. The Harpy's Feather Duster's also kind of a win more. Could easily be a Call by the Grave. I just don't like Call by the Grave very much. It's a one-of, so you're hoping that you're pulling your one copy of this card, and then a situation occurs where you need it, which is less likely versus like any other one-of you might play. So it just doesn't feel super worth it. I would say Nobleman is almost better in that sense, playing Nobleman at 1, as long as you're playing the hand traps that you're expecting to see in your meta that you're playing in, because then it kind of thins your deck as well as negates stuff, versus just this. If it went to 3, it would instantly be a 3-of because it becomes super powerful. At 1, it just doesn't feel as worth it. Like, you're almost always going to have a situation where you can activate the Feather Duster and it will do something. Same with the Foolish, and same with the Monster Reborn. Like, these 3 are kind of interchangeable. I would say Foolish is a must-have in this deck. These 2, I would say, are kind of interchangeable. And then this is just a, you know, whatever. If you're playing against a very, very hand trap heavy deck, maybe you would slide it in, but I just don't like it that much. And then the trap lineup. I just wanted a target for the Mikazuchi so that it wasn't as dead a card. So if you end up using Mikazuchi's effect to summon itself and then are able to resolve it to search at the end, I wanted to net you something. This or this were my options. This thing is good. It just seems so situational. If you're in this bad of a blowout, you're probably losing that game anyway. I suppose you could choose to play this, but really in that sense even, I would probably just play the Monster Reborn if I was going to pick one of those two. So this just seemed good because it's some recursion. So once you go full combo, you pretty much have every option for every monster you need to do another combo the next turn in the graveyard or in the banish zone. So having this as a way to like put it back in your hand and then having that extra combo piece in hand on the next turn is pretty cool in theory. It works fairly well. Obviously it's a trap card and it's kind of slow. It's searchable. It's kind of gimmicky just because it's a Bujin deck. I don't know that I would necessarily play this if I was going to take it to a tournament, but I just love my Bujin cards. Wanted to play one, so I did. And that's how I do things. But just a couple updates for you this week. I'm sorry about that. Hopefully I got a little bit more time in the coming week to build something new for you guys. I don't really have an idea of what it's going to be yet, but I'll figure it out either way. But I want to thank y'all for hanging out with me for a few minutes here tonight, checking out some decks, some of my favorite decks. I have all these ones in person because I love them that much. If you got any comments or suggestions about these deck lists, send them down below. I love talking to you guys about this stuff. If you got something you want to see next week, let me know. It's a blank slate at the moment, so take your opportunity to fill it in. But I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you guys next week.